Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ellie.
Thank you.
True to her word.
Ka kite.
Right, item 18, the annual report. Who have we, what's the sequence for this one? Sorry, I'm just trying to. Does Andy, you come to the table as well? Very good. Just trying to figure out who presents this. Do you start with this or organisation? All right. Fire away.
So I'd just like to make some opening comments. The annual report that you have in front of you has been reviewed by the Audit and Risk Committee in detail, and the Finance and Performance Committee have had a bit of an overview of it. It's a really pleasing outcome to be able to say that the 2017 financials have been given a clean opinion by Audit New Zealand, and that while we still have a qualified modified opinion, that's just for the prior year comparatives. So I'd like to acknowledge a huge amount of work that Diane Brandish has led on behalf of the Council in working through the asset valuations and those other issues, supported ably by others within our team, and also strong advice from Audit New Zealand and others, but Diane has really led that work on our behalf, and it's a great outcome to have this clean result.
I'm unsure as to whether I should invite
You can.
Andy.
Make some comments in.
Thank you. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Well,
My
this
name's
is
Andy
your
Burns.
first time, and I can't remember what the process is in the public session. You've been very helpful to us, obviously, in the audit and risk and finance and performance. But
Conscious of this, obviously you've got pressure on your agenda today, so I don't intend to rabbit on at all. In fact, I didn't intend to say much more than Carol just said. My name's Andy Burns. Just to introduce myself, I'm the Audit Director from Audit New Zealand, who's signing the Christchurch City Council's opinion. So just to reaffirm what Carol said, we are right now ready to issue an audit opinion. There is a modification in there, but it just relates to some prior information. So that's really around the previous assets that were subject to the qualification last year. So that's kind of your stormwater and your roading valuations, and also some work in progress matters that simply were never going to go away, if you like, in terms of prior comparative. But in terms of your 2017 information, that's all clean, if I can use that word, in terms of the audit opinion. And that's actually a good foundation for going into an LTP process as well, because we're saying that your starting point in terms of your 2017 data is all unmodified. Yeah. So that's probably all I wanted to say.
very good. Has anyone got any questions? Glenn and then Yanni.
Thank you, and thank you for this. Just one out of curiosity, really. It relates to page 187, and it's about under affordable housing services with an initiative that we're undertaking with the Crown. And my question is more high level. So from your perspective, whether we're dealing, say that we are kind of the fund holder for monies from the Crown along with our own money, would it be your view that in all that we do, you know, obviously we have to keep it absolutely clean and apply a procurement process in any element of that undertaking? That would be, you know, whether it's our money, taxpayer money, it's no...
I think obvious. That's probably not a question in relation to the annual report, but I know there is some advice coming from staff to one of the committees in relation to that initiative in relation to the Crown and how we're dealing with those funds. I
was just looking for a high level kind of principle audit.
No, not in the annual report. So and this isn't me pressed for time at all. This is the next item on the agenda that we said that we would deal with between 11 and 12. So, but just please stick to the questions that relate to the annual report. Yanni.
Thank you. I was just interested in 5.2.2 on page 132, where you talk about the operating expenditure, and you talk about the crossing car park being expensed as a grant rather than a capital cost. Does that change the rates impact of that, and if so, by how much?
That didn't change the rates impact because we had planned it to be as a capital item. the fact that we had to, for accounting purposes, treat it as expense doesn't impact how we've funded it. It was a technical accounting reason which meant that we had to put it into the, is it treated as a grant, not how we funded it.
So have we gone back and changed the different accounting treatments of that from the previous budgets? Because we were always being told that CapEx is obviously cheaper in terms of cost of borrowing than OPEX.
It was only after we had actually made the payment when we got the final opinion on how it should be treated for accounting purposes that we there was a difference of opinion between a different conclusion from how we'd planned it.
And so the information we had at the performance, as part of the performance report around the additional cost, I think it was about 600,000. Is that related to that?
No, that's a separate issue.
Right. So why is that not related to the treatment?
The additional in the performance report was interest that was payable under the contract.
From us?
From us.
Right. And I guess the question of the auditors, have you looked at that transaction and made sure that now everything's...
We've had conversations around the appropriateness of the accounting treatment, and yes, to that level we've looked at that transaction. Obviously we're mindful of materiality when we do the audit of the accounts, but there are certainly no issues from our perspective in terms of the way that's accounted for.
Right. Okay.
Very good. Any other questions? Right. Would someone like to move the recommendations? Raf Manji, seconded Sarah Templeton. I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.